So you've been given a bit of background of IDRC, and we are humble, I hear. Although we try to blow our trumpet, maybe we don't do it loud enough. So on behalf of IDRC, I'm pleased to be associated with this international dialogue on safety and security. And I wish also to acknowledge the other partners who've made this meeting possible. And as some of you may be aware, the IDRC's program Initiative on Governance, Security and Justice has been working on aspects of this theme for the last 5 years. Previously, we were working on peace, conflict and development, which really is not much different, but in terms of focusing on safety and security, we've done it over the last 5 years. As such, the prospectus of 2010-2015 has been guiding our work globally, and it recognizes that security from threat and reality of violence is critical to people in developing countries, and that insecurity hinders economic, social, and political development. The prospectus also recognizes that security is not purely a state concern, but it involves the public. This means that there's need to take a more holistic perspective that includes the citizens. IDRC further recognizes that public perceptions of security issues, particularly in situations of fragility, can provide valuable inputs for policymakers facing both limited resources and capacity to address a host of public investment needs. In addition, research has demonstrated that states' responses to violence at times may unintentionally increase public insecurity by strengthening unaccountable state and non-state forces. This often leads to individuals and communities turning to private security providers, such as gangs, vigilantes, and other armed groups, consequently creating a new set of problems, leading to even higher levels of violence. IDRC has therefore been funding projects that explore and examine different approaches of making both state and non-state security actors more accountable to society, especially with respect to the marginalized groups such as women, indigenous groups, and the youth. These groups, as we know, often bear the highest burden of violence and insecurity, and women and girls face particularly unique challenges. As a result, IDRC seeks to contribute to the development of effective security policies that address the specific gender dimensions of insecurity. In trying to meet this goal, IDRC has been guided by some questions, and I'll share 3 of which I think are similar to the issues being examined here today. The first question we ask is, what influences the relationship between state and non-state actors in situations where a high level of criminality coexists with democratic governance, and how can incentives be framed to develop appropriate policies that promote citizen security and protect livelihoods? The second question is, in the face of chronic violence and unresponsive state institutions, what formal and informal strategies do citizens and communities use to increase their security? And lastly, how do different state responses to organized violence linked to crime, drugs, and trafficking impact the legitimacy and accountability of public authorities? And what are the policy implications? It is in response to these questions that IDRC has funded several projects globally that address these challenges. Some have been funded through the Safe and Inclusive Cities Initiative, a program that is focused on identifying approaches that work in reducing violence in urban settings. These projects are spread out in Asia, Latin America, and Africa. Some of them will be represented. I saw the program that some of the project partners will be presenting in this forum. However, our direct partnership in this particular forum is through the project Muga talked about, Urban Violence Reduction and Security in Brazil, Mexico, and South Africa. And this project is managed by my colleague Marcus Gottsbacher, who could not make it to this meeting and who asked me to come and present him. The importance of having a meeting that brings together researchers, policymakers, and practitioners cannot be overstated. We recognize the cyclical nature of this relationship, where research feeds to policy and practice, and where lessons from practice then feed back to research and policy. These lessons from different geographical regions will also add value in borrowing what works and also sharing the challenges. Sustainable development can only happen when conducive environments are created to enable citizens to earn their livelihoods in secure environments. I therefore anticipate this forum will generate ideas that take us a step forward in this direction. I also note that the New World Development Report, entitled Society-Minded Behavior, suggests that understanding the psychological and social influences can contribute to more effective development planning and implementation. It would be interesting to see how this has played out in the work that you're doing, and what we can learn from this. I therefore look forward to listening and learning from your experiences, and I look forward to interacting with you in the next few days. I thank you very much for listening.